Welcome to the Obesity Medicine Podcast with your host, Dr. Rentea, board certified in internal medicine and obesity medicine. Here, we talk about a path to metabolic health, and we have real conversations about chronic weight management and living a full life. Just a reminder, I am a physician, but I'm not your physician. So everything that's on this podcast is for informational purposes, but please go talk to your doctor about what's right for you. There is no medical advice being given on this podcast. Welcome back to another episode of the podcast. Today is a really exciting episode because I was invited to be part of a fireside chat where we got to speak to a previous Biggest Loser contestant. And I don't know if any of you listening to this podcast, if you were a big fan of this show. I think the show aired initially in 2004. I looked it up. I think I was 16 years old at the time when it aired. And I talk a little bit in this conversation that you're going to hear about this, but it was a really formative show for me in the sense that being a kid that had always been overweight, I really thought, well, this is the answer, that I go somewhere and I work out so many hours a day and I eat so little and I wear a tracking device. I really thought this is the answer. When I watched the show with admiration and I bought the books and it was a whole thing. I can assume that a lot of you listening, just like you might have done Weight Watchers or things like that in the past, this might have really been part of a cultural moment that you partook in. And then again, we learned a lot of things later, how detrimental it was. But this is something that I've always been curious about. And so I was really excited to be part of this conversation. So this is on the Plus SideZ podcast. And the co-hosts of this podcast are Kim Carlos and Kat Carter. And then I was on it, obviously, and the main guest that they had on was Ashley Palu. She was on season 9 of The Biggest Loser. This is a long interview, okay? But I would listen to the whole thing because we go through, okay, what was it like applying for the show? What was it like once you were on the cast? What did you feel like? Was it motivating? Was it humiliating to get weighed publicly? What was it like with filming? Did it feel empowering? Was there more of just a storyline being told, or was it real to what was happening? And what happened after the show? Was there support? She talks about her weight loss during it, the regain after, then now being on a GLP-1. It's a really nice, full journey to hear behind the scenes of these shows, what it's actually like. And I think nowadays we have a bigger understanding of how produced these things are, and we have more perspective on things. But I just feel like when reality TV was getting going back in the day, we didn't know all of this, or at least I couldn't have been the only one that didn't know. So I think you're all going to think this is really interesting. I want you to listen out for certain moments to hear how few calories she was told to eat. I'm just going to give it away here. Okay. I'm sorry. This is the moment that it killed me. That the physician had told her, eat 1,400 calories. And Jillian Michaels had said, no, eat 800 calories. And they were working out 8 hours a day. Okay. And then that they didn't disclose on the show that we were only seeing the days when they were filming, but there were days when they didn't because, the crew needed time to rest. And those were actually days when they would eat all the things. And guys, they never aired that. So we never knew a lot of those things. And again, there's tons of other gems. Listen to this. It's just shocking because I just feel we didn't know a lot of this. And I know I shouldn't be shocked. I know that everyone's lying. I know that everything isn't disclosed, yet it's still shocking me. So I hope that you enjoy this interview. Ashley is absolutely phenomenal. We will link in the show notes to everybody's social and channels. And I think that everybody on here is really understanding and compassionate. And I think the exploration in this conversation is really worth listening to. I hope that you enjoy this podcast episode. If you're loving these, please go ahead and share this with a friend if you think that they would like it, and leave us a review wherever you're listening. That really helps the podcast to continue to grow and to reach other people that need this help. All right, enjoy this episode.
Welcome to the Plus SideZ.
What we do here is we talk about obesity, and we talk about diet culture, and we talk about all the things that have to do with weight, and not even weight loss, but honestly, health gain.
Right.
And so we talk a lot about GLP-1 medications. Okay, let's invite in our guest. Dr. Rentea. Hi.
Hi. Show regular.
And Ashley, how are you? Welcome.
Hi, good.
We're so glad to have you for today's discussion. I wanted to kind of share with everybody like we did before we started, but this is going to be more of a fireside chat kind of conversation. So if you're in corporate America, you know what I mean. But ultimately, it's just more like a round table where we discuss things that have happened in terms of shows that we're going to talk about The Biggest Loser today because Ashley was on it and what that was like, and talk about the experience and things that she realized in those moments and maybe things that she's realized after the fact, and discuss how we move forward. I think that's really important. in the media today or how we feel represented as a community that deal with obesity, whether it's online or with TLC shows or whatever it is. Do we need a GLP-1 TLC show? Yes, is the answer. No, I'm kidding. But regardless, I think it's important that we do talk about what do we want that to look like? Because we are this community and this is a problem and this isn't a cure. These are just treatments. So let's just have some revelations and have a nice discussion and see how we move forward. I do want to have people introduce Dr. Rentea. I always ask her, tell us a little bit about who you are and how you help people.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me back. First of all, I was such a fan of Biggest Loser growing up. I looked it up. I was 16 years old when it aired. No wonder the minute you talked to me, I was like, I have to come on. I have to be part of this. If anyone isn't familiar with me, I'm Dr. Rentea. I'm an internal medicine and obesity medicine board certified physician, and I own and operate the Rentea Metabolic Clinic, and it's a full spectrum obesity medicine care practice for Indiana and Illinois. I really enjoy this area and really providing compassionate care.
Love it. And she's been on our show many times. Yay. And then Ashley, tell us a little bit about you.
Hi.
And then we'll kind of go in and start talking about your story a little.
Perfect. I am Ashley Palu. I was on season 9 of The Biggest Loser many moons ago now. It's been, I believe, like 12 or 13 years.
Wow.
And I have since gained all my weight back, and I have lost now 139 pounds while using GLP-1 as a tool.
Oh my
since February of 2024. So a little over a year.
How much did you lose on the show?
I lost 163 pounds.
Wow.
In 7 months.
Wow. So that's how long it went on. Always in my head, I'm wondering how long they go on. So you're
7 months.
Finish. Yeah.
Wow. That sounds rigorous. Like
it was. Yeah.
Intense.
It was extreme.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, that's what it's about.
What it is.
That's what they do in media. Everything is about the extremes, right?
Right.
But ultimately, I think there are different perspectives with the show. And I want to go around and we can kind of talk about what it is. And I'd love to talk about how you made that decision, how you came about deciding to go on it and stuff like that, and what your thought process was. I'll tell you, I don't watch any of those shows. I don't watch 300-pound sisters or any of I mean, I'm disrespectful. I really need to know the name of it, not being rude, but like I really don't.
1,000-pound sisters?
Okay. Yes, that. Sure. There's all these variances of them now, and I don't watch them. And the reason I don't is because I've always been like this. I always saw that as that's as bad as it gets. That's what I would think. I never watched it, right? And that's me. So that's how I saw it, right? And I will never get better. I can't lose weight. I've tried. Like, and so I can't watch that because it's too close to home. You know what I mean? But I think there's a different perspective to consider, like Dr. Rentea said. So you were 16 when the show was on and you liked it, right? And tell me how you felt about it when you watched it.
Well, it's interesting. I thought, this is the way that I'm going to have to go somewhere 100% have dedication to it. That because I never had success either. Like I'd lose, 10, 20 pounds over a summer, and then I would gain it right back. And I was always like literally since kindergarten overweight. And so I thought, if nothing I've done has ever worked, because then imagine that went into my 20s watching it, right? And I thought, that has to be the way, because me in college, none of this stuff is working and nothing I'm ever doing is lasting. I thought it was so inspirational, like, the motivation, the hard work. And so over time, I've grown to a different understanding. But to me, it was really formative. And I bought all the books. I was really—
There were books?
Yeah, I bought one of Bob's books.
Like recipe books, everything. Yeah.
It was a whole franchise. I mean, it was a whole thing.
There was like merch and all the things, huh?
Yeah.
Wow. See, and I just ignored it.
I was well into my 20s, way 20s, I think.
I think it was 2004, yeah.
Yeah. And then my roommate, now this is like, that's a long time ago. By 2004, I had lost and gained a lot of weight. That was my first Weight Watchers foray. And I watched it, that and Extreme Makeover, the health version.
Yeah.
Where they also had the plastic surgery show. My roommate and I, we were hooked on it. We were sucked into a lot of those.
Makeover, like weight loss edition or
something. There was the weight
like
loss edition, but then
was
there was
it like something Swan, or am I making that up?
Swan, that's what we watched.
Yeah, it was like a reveal would happen at the end. They would like go away and then they would come back, right?
Yeah, but there was like a certain point where I got with The Biggest Loser. I was like,
you can't watch it anymore.
Yeah,
it turned after
like pounds a week. what are they doing to these people? We'll find out.
You will find out.
The pressure. I think what threw me the last time I watched it was when they all went home and they all made them run a marathon. I was like, I ran a half marathon in 2005. That was intense for me. I'm like, wait a minute, you have people who are like 400 or 500 pounds, maybe. I was like, that kind of turned me off. I was like, they're pushing them too hard. And I was like, of course you're going to lose weight. We'll find out how long they made you work out every day. Like a pro athlete, huh?
I'm curious. Let's talk about that a little bit more. So I would love to know what made you decide to go on the show. What was your thought process? Where were you, like, in terms of weight and your journey in general? And then how did it all go about? Lay it out for us, like, behind the curtain.
Yeah. So I have always struggled with my weight from a young age. And then I just decided one day, I was a fan of the show. I watched it for years. Mm-hmm. I found it inspirational because I'm like, that's what I need to do. I got to get on there because that's apparently a fix, right? Like, I've got to do it. So I just looked it up one night and then I decided I'm doing this. And I did all the steps. You have to film at home videos. I took a video camera because not the big ones. Okay. I'm not that old.
Yeah. The little digital ones. I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
I took it like everywhere. Everywhere. To the mountains. Like, I did a hike and I almost died on this hike I tried to do because I was like 300. I was almost 400 pounds at the time. And so I took it there and I talked about doing the hike and how I almost died. And I took it and put my CPAP on. And my dog was in the bed with me. And I was like, I'd rather have a man in the bed with me. Like, all this stuff, and so I made this video and I made my mom do it with me because I was like, I need a partner. She did not want to do it, but she did for me, of course. And we just submitted it and I got a call and it was just one step after the other, one interview after the other. And then
how long did it take?
So many interviews. It's a couple of months of just interviews. Once it starts happening, though, it does start picking up really quick.
Okay.
Because they're ready to film,
Yeah.
So once they fly you to LA, they put you in a hotel and then you go and interview live in front of the producers. And and from there we made it on.
Okay.
Wow.
So do you go back and get ready and then come back? Or by the time you're interviewing, do they know that you're going to be on it?
So I think they have a group in mind who they want because they see that dynamic of also it's a TV show. So they want a little conflict and stuff. Yeah. But they also want like the inspirational side. So after we interviewed, we got the final call. We did go home and then we were on. They called us, of course, but we already had a film camera in our house, like a camera crew in our house. So we kind of knew we were going on. And then they were like, you're on the pink team or whatever. And they film everything at home. So we do the at-home filming. Okay. Where the hardest part, I think, for me was I had to get in front of my peers downtown and I had to take my shirt off and have on just a sports bra and shorts.
I remember seeing that.
That was probably one of the hardest things to do.
Yeah.
So
I would have been mortified. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was the start.
When you found out you were cast, I can't even imagine what that would be like. Were you excited? Were you terrified? What was going through your mind?
Good question.
I feel like because once I get laser focused on something, like I want it, you know what I mean? So at that point, I wasn't scared. I was probably nervous. I remember feeling nervous. Oh my gosh, I'm leaving my life for all these months and I'm doing this. And can I do it? I've got to be able to cash this check. My mouth is written out. I've actually got to go and do it. I was nervous, but I think I was more just like feeling hopeful that I was going to finally get over this struggle with weight for the first time in my life.
Yeah. Do you remember what kind of questions they asked you in terms of qualifying you? Do you think you remember, oh, that's a weird question, or that's what they're looking for? Could you tell?
I think there's a lot of crying in the process. They really want to know. They dig deep and they want to know the emotional side, and they want to know that if you're going to open up, because that's what the show is, right? You have to be open with your struggle. And so it was a lot of questions. My father had passed away when I was 16. And for my mom and myself, that of course was very trauma and tragic. And so there was a lot of digging into that. And that was very difficult, but also started a healing process at the same time. Yeah. Because it started like unbury stuff that I have buried with food.
I get that.
When you were starting this, did they have already right from the beginning a doctor involved, anything mental health related? Was that part of the screening? Because I don't even know what it looks like later, but that was part of initially.
Oh, for sure. You have to pass like a psych
evaluation for sure. That long test of all these questions. You probably know what it is. I don't remember what it's called. But yes, you have to pass that because they want to know if you're mentally stable to do something like this. So yes, and then Dr. Huizenga, he's a doctor in Beverly Hills. He was our doctor from the get. So they did also give us a full physical to make sure we weren't going to kill out on the gym floor because they do push you. And there were people that I think were in the final running. And I remember the dad was older and they actually got sent home because the dad did not pass the physical part.
The physical part? Like they thought if they pushed him, he was going to have a heart attack or something like that?
Well, I can imagine there were like stress tests involved and stuff, right? So how, like if your heart can't handle it, you can tell these things.
Yes, we did stress tests. They did EKGs. They ultrasound our arteries. They wanted to make sure we didn't have clogged arteries and stuff like that, or how much they were clogged. Yeah. And DEXA scans and all kinds. I mean, like
even then, DEXA scan.
Yeah, everything medically that you could do to test, they did. We did it all.
Yeah. Why do you think they did that in terms of having you go and be on a scale and have hardly anything on? I mean, obviously it's quite the spectacle, right?
Right.
Like I don't know. Part of me, I think a lot of times about the military and how they strip you down to build you back up. Yeah, and I'm wondering if that was sort of the drama of it all.
I think they want to always look back. They use that for at the end. Here she is looking at this at the start and now look at her, so it's kind of like the beginning of the before and after kind of thing, I suppose. And looking back, I don't feel bad about it. It almost kickstarted the shedding for me. Like I had hidden for like years. I didn't show my body. I was very self-conscious. So for me, I could have looked at it as that was terrible of you, but I also actually just chose to look at it as healing, that I'm not going to look like this anymore. And I'm going to shed this like off of my body,
Yeah, I get that.
So I chose to look at it as like a freeing kind of thing.
Yeah. So when you're there for the 7 months that you were there, and what I mean by there is, are they filming this and you're going to a studio every day and you're living at home, or are you living in a hotel?
Oh no, we're living on the Gillette Ranch that's in Calabasas. Wow. Is it still called the Gillette Ranch? The Gillette Ranch.
Gillette, like branding flavors?
Yeah, like it was haunted. It's an old, it's beautiful, but it's very old. And they did have like several bedrooms, a kitchen. There was a part of the building that we weren't really allowed to go to. It is very beautiful. It's very old, I believe. So yeah, it was beautiful. They built a gym on the property where we filmed all the workouts and stuff. It had a pool. It was nice.
Did you get like break time or work time? What was that like?
Yes, we got dark days. So there were days where we weren't filming because the crew obviously needs time off too. And so we would just hang around the house and of course work out. We were never not. I mean, there was very little time that we weren't walking or swimming. We weren't always in the gym, but we were always moving our bodies at all times.
Did you guys get control over what was in the fridge, or was that predetermined? How did that work?
No, so we could make a grocery list, and some items that people would ask for were not approved. But yeah, I don't know. I just went with what they told me. I was like, yes, I will eat that. But we ate so much orange roughy and asparagus. I just can't do the orange roughy ever again in my life. Oh, God. So I can imagine. I am not a big fish person to begin with. So I'm like, it's like a very low calorie fish.
Yeah.
So they let us help. Like we could pick what we wanted for the most part, and they would shop for it and put it in the fridge for us and stuff. But we cooked all of our own meals. We didn't have anyone ever cooking for us.
Oh, that's really okay. So you cooked your own meals too?
We cooked our own meals. It was up to us to count our own calories, to do everything. So if you weren't going to eat right, then you probably weren't going to make it long,
That's very interesting that they gave you that freedom. I would suspect, like in my brain, bias wise, I would be like, they put them on a diet and they tell them to eat this. And then of course they're going to do that because they tell them exactly what to eat. And then they're moving and they have nothing else to worry about. That's what I was thinking in my brain. So I think that really
I think maybe the ultimate, guys, kind of speaking for you, would it be like, is it the motivating to stay on calorie restriction is the weigh-in on television? I bet that kept you in line, so to speak. Oh, yes, like counting my calories. I was very religious. I would count a stick of gum into my calories. I became a little obsessive.
Interesting.
But we used the body bag. I don't know if you guys remember those or not. They like went on your arm and they track. It's like the original tracker, honestly. We all have Apple Watches now.
I remember. Because I thought I need one. I thought I need to have that little thing that tells me how many calories I'm burning.
Oh my God. It's basically an Apple Watch. It was like the first calorie tracking burn. It was a tracking device. And it was like one of the first in its time, I guess. I wore that on my arm. And then I would come at the end of the day or during the day several times to the computer because we weren't allowed
TV or anything like that. We literally had a computer that just had the body bug, and I'd sit and like type in my calories. And yeah, so I was religious about it, but I could also calculate my burn to my calories and get a good idea of how much weight I was going to lose that week. So I wasn't ever that shocked.
Interesting.
Who was setting the calorie numbers? Who was telling you what to eat? All of that.
That's a can of worms. High-calorie wanted me to eat 1,450, I think is what he asked me to eat at first.
Who asked you to do that?
The doctor, Dr. Huizenga.
Yeah, doctors are always ambitious about the calorie restriction.
Yeah. So Jillian came to me and said, do not eat that. You're eating 800 calories. And so I said, okay.
Oh my gosh. I'm sorry. I can't.
I'm face palming right now.
It is one of my biggest regrets on the show ever. I worked out 9 hours a day on 800 calories and half of my hair fell out. I had no hair at the end of it. If you go and watch the finale, I have no hair. It's crazy. And I started with a lot of hair.
Did you faint during your workouts? Like I would have fainted.
Yeah, how could you
every time we did spin, we used to go to Bob taught a spin class at a gym in LA. So on dark days, we would go do his spin class. And I would, every time I'd get off the bike and I have to hold on and close my eyes because it would go dark. I was about to pass out.
Yeah.
So did you ever disclose that to the doctor there? Was there anyone where you were like, hey, I'm about to pass out? Did you ever say it? Did people ask you? Was that aspect? No? Wow.
I don't think I said it. It just became like normal. Isn't that terrible?
No,
I get it.
Probably it was with everyone. Was it with everyone? Like, everyone was having a
No, not everyone did that. My husband, Coley, who was on the show with me, he did not eat that low of calories because he was like, I'm not doing that. He was always like the rebel, though. He's like, I'm not doing that, you know? And I was always like, yes, ma'am. I'll do whatever you say. Yeah. And so there were people that did not eat that low. But yeah, that is probably my biggest regret. And I think since Jillian has come on and said that she does not agree with that low calorie anymore and that she once believed that was the fix, and now she knows that it's not. But it made it impossible for me to maintain once I got off. You can't maintain that. So biggest regret is eating 800 calories.
Yeah. But I get that because you don't want to be embarrassed. And at the end, you want to be like, it's all worth it. And you want to be in the small body and you want to solve this problem. Just sort of the carrot of it all in general, of having everybody look at you and all the things you don't want to be a fool. You don't want to be voted off the shore. I don't know how it gets voted or not.
I think it's more, you're in this, they keep you in a bubble. There's no news, no TV, you're literally there to work out, be filmed, do these crazy challenges, and that you just become really weird. I felt like when I first got off, I turned in the hotel when I first came home, like I turned my back to the corner of the wall to change because I was so used to having a camera in my room. Oh my gosh. And so I was just like, oh, but I'm in a hotel now. It's weird. You're like in this weird bubble. But yeah, I don't know that I felt like it was too low. I just knew that's what she told me to do. And I was like, I'm doing it. And it was working clearly for me. I was
working. So it must be right.
Yeah. Right. So I just went with
calories.
Did you feel like you learned anything when you were there that you didn't know before? Like all the times you had tried to lose weight before?
Oh my gosh. So much.
Really?
So much. I think the biggest thing that I learned, I literally knew nothing about losing weight before I went on. I had tried like every diet out there, everything. I was even vegan for 9 months. Like I tried everything. I read that book, Skinny Bitch. And I thought it was to be a skinny bitch, but it was to be vegan. So I was vegan. I tried everything. So when I went on, I just kind of, I don't know. I just was like, this is it for me. You know, I'm going to do this.
Do you think that the show was authentic the way it happened, or was it really produced? Because I felt, who cares my feelings? What do you think?
Our season, I will say, they did try to push us for more drama, but we all, for the most part, excluding a team or two, we all got along really well. And so I remember this M&M challenge where whoever ate the M&M first got to be in control of everyone's workout that week or whatever, their teams or something. And it was the very beginning, and my mom like ate the M&M, and everybody was so mad because they're like, we're not doing that to each other. And the producers weren't happy. They're like, yeah, no, somebody's eating an M&M. Like, so our season was really good. We honestly, for the most part, all got along. There wasn't a lot of drama and backstabbing kind of stuff going on. So I feel like the producers tried to kind of push it a little bit but when I watch it back, I do genuinely feel like they captured what was really happening for the most part. You know? Didn't really feel too forced. The only thing that was like this one producer, and I still think about this, he was one of the head producers, and he would always come to me at the end of a work, like when we're filming the weigh-in, we do interviews right after for them to get our perspective on who's going home and all this stuff. And he would always be like, do you feel like you did enough? You think you did enough this week? And I'm like, Jesus Christ. Like, yeah, I mean, I guess that I'm not. Like, it just would always like,
it was like manipulative.
Head. And it just still pisses me off to this day.
Just because the way they're asking it, right? Like, it's not, how do you feel about this week? Like, do you feel like you lost it? Like, it's literally trying to make you feel not enough.
They're trying to get a rise out of it. It wasn't ever filmed.
Like,
yeah, it wasn't filmed. It was just him coming to me on his own time and asking me as I'm like walking to record
just
an interview. Yeah, just to make me like push harder or something. I'm like, dude, how much harder can I literally push?
Yeah, literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's like a tactic, right? Strategy, like to get in your head. And sure, hopefully that you'll do some kind of something on camera or you push yourself a little harder and look at it on camera. My opinion, big fat opinion. Like,
right. No, I agree. I think you're right for sure.
Yeah.
And you do push yourself. It's like I pushed myself so hard I would throw up.
Like when you were pushing, because I know I've had many of those times in my life when I was doing these things. What was that? Like, what was the driver of that? I'm wondering, like mentally then, what were you thinking? And then looking back, do you have a perspective on it?
I think in the beginning, the first day we got there, I was blown away of how hard it was. And I told my mom, I fell off the treadmill the very first workout. Jillian had me at like a 3 incline at like a 3.5 speed. I'll never forget.
Oh, I remember those scenes. I'm so frightened of them. Oh my God.
And I crashed out. My heart was beating so fast. And I was like, I'm going to have a heart attack. I cannot keep going. They're like, you're going to keep going. And I was like, I can't. And I just fell off and smashed into the wall. And they showed that scene like a million times throughout the whole season. I feel like, I don't know. Like
Gross.
Yeah, that's not a good feeling. That's not how you do it. You don't take people to that limit of feeling like they can't. I don't know. I think, but when I first went on, I felt like I couldn't do it. And I told my mom that day, I said, I am going home. And she was like, what? And I was like, I cannot do this. I got kicked out of the Jillian kicked me out of the gym. She used it as like a mental thing. She's good at the mental side. So then she comes outside to me and is like, you're going to do this. She uses it as like a mental step of prep you for her little talk that she's going to do with you after. And she's like, you're going to come back in here tomorrow and you're going to do it and you're not going to fall off. And I was like, oh my God. And so that night I went home and I told my mom, or went back to the ranch, and I was like, I can't do it. And she, like, this famous line in this interview that everybody has loved so much, and she looks at me and she's like, but what if you can't? And so it kind of did flip a mental thing for me where in the beginning, I did really struggle with pushing myself. I just couldn't get there. But I will say the biggest thing I feel like I gained from the show is being able to tap into this place, or almost like this person. I call her like a different person, which I know I'm her, but it feels different sometimes, where I can like push myself through a lot of pain and stuff during workouts now, where before I couldn't even be inconvenient. I was like, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it, you know? But now, like, I was at a Zumba class one day, and I'm a big girl, and this lady was like, how are you doing this? I don't know. I can. I've been abused. Years
ago.
But it did help me find this, like, will to, like, push through pain.
Yeah.
Maybe in a messed up way, but, like, honestly, it is super helpful these days. So
yeah, I mean, honestly, I saw a video that you did where you were like, I think it was in your stories. I like your stuff. And you just kind of said that you were having a day and you were like, I had this moment, and I was like, you were kind of like, I don't even know what you said, but here's what I heard. I'm a tough bitch. Like, I can do stuff. You know what I mean? And I felt that in you, and Kat has it too, because I see it in her. I don't. But like Kat does, and she's like that. She's very physically fit and into all the things, and you know, she just teaches me strength training. I think that it's interesting. That piece does exist. Like I say a lot of times that I do feel like people with obesity have the most grit because we just have to continue to fail and then get back up and then get back up and then get back up. Right. Like every time we regain and we feel like trash, and we're like, all right, we're up again today, and we're going to try again. Like that's what we did. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like we're always trying. Very seldom.
It can be empowering, you know?
Yeah, I get that.
It can. And I feel I've tapped into a place where I don't always like feel I have to push myself to the extreme in an unhealthy way.
That's nice.
But if I'm weightlifting and I know that I can go a little more, but it's like burning or whatever it is, then I can tap into something where I'm just like, you're a badass bitch. You got this. And I can just keep going.
I get that.
So I think that's one of the best things I gained from the show, other than my husband. That is like the best strength that I gained.
That's fun.
Mental strength.
You have any other friends that you're still in touch with from there?
Yeah, I still talk to Michael, who won my season, Darius, who was on my season, Dre.
How many people are on it when you started? I don't even know.
Oh my gosh, there's teams. So probably like 15, 12.
Wow.
Yeah. 12
and somebody goes home every week?
Yes. It's not like we film a little longer than
I bet. Yeah.
7 days sometimes. It just depends on dark days and stuff going on with production, but it is typically about a week time. Sometimes it's a little longer, just depending. But yes, you get voted off once a week.
Okay. Wow. Yeah. What is voted? Like who's voting?
We are voting. So some of
them are voting for or against each other?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is like the most mind manipulation I didn't even read ahead.
It is a game show. It's a game show in the end. You win money, it's a game.
You win money. Okay. Yeah. You don't just lose weight, you win money. How much money do you win?
Did runner-ups get money?
Yes, I won $50,000.
That's a lot.
Awesome.
Yeah. My husband won $100,000. He was the at-home winner. And then Michael won. He got eliminated at the last vote. So he would have won. He lost a ton of weight. He had the highest percentage, but he did not get the vote from America. America gets to vote at the end. Who's going to be in the top 3 to be the final winner or whatever? And he did not get it. I was like, don't vote for him. I knew he would beat me. So I was on my social media like, don't vote for Coley. So Darius won the vote, but Coley would have won the whole show. So he won the at-home prize of $100,000. And then Michael, who won the show, who beat me by 4 pounds.
Wow.
Won $250,000.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Wait, I don't remember the details at the end. It was pounds and it was not percent body weight, or it was?
It was percent. It was by percentage of body weight.
Okay,
but the percentage of body weight, which is why the one thing that I wish that I'm really into now is like lifting weights, because we know that muscle burns more and you maintain better when you have more muscle. Right. They did not want you to lift a lot of weights. And we did weightlifting there, but not like in a way where you're trying to gain a ton of muscle, because it's a body percentage game. That's one thing I wish I had clearly done more, because you can maintain better when you have muscle.
I'm just so curious from a medical standpoint. Like, these are the things I've always wanted to know. At the end, did they recheck the DEXA to see what was going on, or they did? So they had that data.
Often, not often, but every couple of months or weeks, we would go to the doctor. What is it where you blow into the thing?
Like, so you were doing the basal metabolic rate, right?
Basal metabolic. So we did that a lot. We did the bod pod a lot throughout the whole thing. And then we did do a final DEXA scan. Mine is crazy. I wish I had it to show. Like, my before and after DEXA scan is crazy.
In a good way?
In a great way, yeah. Because at the beginning, you see all the fat and stuff surrounding all your arteries and all this stuff. And in the end, you can see that gone. So it was a cool medical.
Wow. I bet that is cool. I would be excited about that too. Be like, oh my God, all day. And then I would gain weight and be like, fuck.
Yeah. And when I went on, I was diabetic. Like, I had found out that I didn't know I was diabetic or pre-diabetic, I think, or I was on the cusp. They use that too to like film, like, you're diabetic, and I was like, no. So
I don't mean to laugh. The way you're explaining it is like these fuckers.
I was crying, and I was like, I'm diabetic. And now when I went to get my shot, I was diabetic by 0.1, and I was like, yes. I get insurance coverage.
Isn't that awful that's like that's how bad people are in this country that they have to hope for that? Like, it's crazy.
So sad.
Yeah. And people who do have diabetes too, I have friends that not by a point or whatever, like whenever they hear people say that, they're just, many of them are like so offended by it because they know how like bad type 2 is and all the things that come with it. But I guess like, we don't want to be there. Many people have said that. I've prayed for that. Yeah. I've prayed for my A1C to go to this.
Isn't that terrible? Just because the medication is so expensive. It's so hard to obtain here.
True. Yeah.
So 0.1. I got in by 0.1. So
Dr. Rentea, can you tell us about those things that she was talking about? What is that thing she's blowing into? What are all these things?
What's that?
Nowadays, I think we would use much more like body composition testing and things like that. But there are ways that you can tell the basal metabolic rate based on, so I'm assuming that's why they kept testing you guys.
Yeah, it was like what is now your what's your calorie burn at rest? What's your full day calorie burn is what it is. Yeah. So they look at it to see, like, now that you've lost, of course, when you lose weight, you don't burn as much just being less heavy, right? So that was just seeing what our overall, is that right?
So one thing I'm super curious about, right? So when you were having this test, they were testing the basal metabolic rate. If you don't lose weight in the way in which you guys lost it, you technically, a lot of my patients, like, because we're not trying to lose super quick and we're watching things, they actually maintain it. We make sure you're getting enough strength training and protein and all those kind of things. And so were you seeing that it was like declining? Because I would imagine you had to be having some rapid muscle loss just based on how quickly you guys were losing.
Yes, it was definitely declining. Because like I said, I was very rigid on my calorie counting and stuff. So it was I knew what I was going to burn throughout the day and how many hours I needed to work out to achieve how many pounds, so yes, it was declining.
Yeah. How many hours a day did you guys normally work out?
Probably about 8.
You guys trained for the Olympics.
Yeah. I mean, I ran a marathon. Yeah, I did.
You guys were athletes.
Yeah.
Did you guys never rest? Like, you didn't have a rest day or recovery?
We did have we have one rest day a week. Sundays usually were our rest day. And we had what we called, and this I do think is very unhealthy. We had high-calorie day where we would
a cheat day.
Eat. Yes.
Oh, you did? Okay.
Eat. And Michael, he was our Italian guy on the show. He always made this, we called it victory pasta salad. And he made this big pasta salad with like cheese and all this stuff. Homemade pizzas. We made homemade pizzas and stuff with the dough from Trader Joe's. And we would just eat and eat. And then on Monday, though, back down to 800 calories.
Wow.
Did I see that episode? See, everything started to be a blur to me after a certain point.
I don't remember. Did they show that on the show? Because I feel like I remember these gorging challenges, right, that were ridiculous. Was that it? Or
No, this is on dark days when we weren't filming.
That's so deceptive.
Yeah, it's on dark days.
Oh my
God. I think that they did it. I know Jillian wanted us to eat more on those days. It was like a reset for your body. So you could kick back into.
Is there science into that, or is that just trash?
No, I think there is some science with it.
There is some science to it.
But I want to
tell you. I recommend it though. I don't think it's healthy. It's clearly not.
No one does the cycling thing.
If you're a binger, if you struggle with binge eating disorder, it's not the best practice. But most weightlifters and bodybuilders.
They're like trying to cycle.
Yeah.
They do a high calorie day. Yeah. I don't do that anymore. I don't do high calorie days. I can't.
How did you feel about that they didn't share that on the show? Like that was something that was happening, but it wasn't being disclosed publicly.
I don't think at the time I thought anything of it, honestly, because I didn't know. Also, we don't know what's happening. They don't show us anything. So I didn't know if they were sharing it or not. Afterwards, I didn't think about it in a way as like they were being deceptive, I guess. Yeah. And if I had been asked, I would have shared. I didn't feel like it was a secretive thing. It was just high calorie day, rest day. It just was very normal. And I still to this day do not work out on Sundays. It's weird. It's ingrained in my brain. Like, I don't work out on Sundays at all. I get it. Yeah.
Wow. Interesting. I'm wondering, I feel like this is a really good like ease into GLP, right? Yeah. Because ultimately, if it was me, like my food noise would have never turned off. I don't care. Especially if I was restricting to that level, I would have been thinking about food constantly, and I would have been drinking water and walking or moving, whatever it is I had to do to just try to keep my mind off of it. Right? I would always.
Oh, I was hungry.
Make myself feel whole. Yeah,
I bet you were.
So like, I feel like you would have to be right. Like I feel, and I've seen some like TikToks of people being like, when you are in extreme restriction, like they're gym bros and stuff, or they're going to weight. I call them gym bros, but plenty of them are very reputable. I don't mean it in a bad way, but like they are like going to a competition and they want to get cut for a certain way, and they will restrict so much that that's all they think about. And they're like, feel like they're going insane with food noise all the time. And I'm like, welcome to our world. But I'm wondering, like, when you're there, how are you getting through that? And knowing that perspective, right, of what maybe food noise might have been like before going in, what it was like when you were there, and what it's like now that you're on a GLP-1. How do you see that?
So before, I always had food noise. I didn't realize it, but I was constantly thinking about food. I was constantly, before The Biggest Loser, like just filling my body with just fast food, with alcohol. I was a big party girl. I was drinking Jaeger bombs, just treating my body like a literal dumpster. During the show, of course, I don't know. I found perspective in that. And then coming off the show, I did gain my weight back, but I didn't do it the same way. Like I wasn't just crushing fast food and gained it back, of course, because I wasn't working out 9 hours a day and I wasn't eating 800 calories,
Yeah, so how can you sustain that at all?
You can't. So I did start gaining back my weight, but in just like a completely different way. So the food noise was clearly there. During the show, I would drink tea, dandelion tea. It's also a natural diuretic. So it would like, we know all the ins and outs when you're on that show. How to get your weight off. I would drink dandelion tea at night. And then sometimes I would just have to go to bed because I was so hungry. I was like, I'm just going to sleep. After the show, I mean, food noise is always there. It was always there for me. And I remember feeling guilty for eating these like protein bars after the show once I was at home. They were like protein bars, but they were like candy bars. And that was like my, like,
I remember those.
Yeah. It started with a Z. I don't remember what they were called, but they were delicious. And I felt guilty about that. I was always having food noise, or I'd order Chinese food and I'd be like, it's for me and 3 other people. It was for me, you know? So I still clearly was struggling with that. So now being on a GLP-1, which has completely saved my life, I will say, saved my mental health, my happiness. It is hands down been a miracle for me. I'm using it as a tool to seriously change my life. But I don't have food noise anymore at all. And it feels so freeing. I feel normal. I'm like, this is what the normal people get to feel like. How nice.
How soon was it that you felt that when you took a GLP-1? Was like low dose? Or did you have to go?
I didn't feel it too much low dose. I feel like at 2.5.
Yeah.
And I did not know anything when I started it, hardly at all. I had watched some TikToks and stuff and I knew I really wanted to do it. But I ate like a medium pizza the day I took my first shot. And I about died.
That doesn't shock me.
I about literally died. I was like,
really?
3 a.m. with my food sloshing around in my stomach.
Oh,
and I called my mom and I was like, I have gastroparesis. I was like, I'm done. Oh my God. And so I've since learned.
Bubble guts galore. I was
so bad. I have since learned not to do that, but it didn't start for me in the beginning. I feel like probably around 5 milligrams was the next step up. I started feeling less of that.
Yeah.
But I kept telling my husband, I still want to eat. Like the mental part was still there. I still wanted more, but I knew I couldn't. So I was still struggling with that. But now being on it for this long, I say for the last probably 5 or 6 months, I told Coley, I said, it's not a thing for me anymore. I don't want it. And it is so amazing. I finally feel like I've cured something within me. And I feel like maybe if I were to go off the medication, which I don't ever plan to, that maybe I could maintain still because I feel like it fixed something in my brain almost.
I get that.
I don't know if it's permanent. It kind of feels like it's permanent now. Like now it's become more of just habit or something, but it feels much better. Yeah. So food noise, I don't have it.
I'm curious, like when you came back and you had like sort of those feelings of like sort of guilt and shame, clearly regain began to happen because there's just no way. You know what I mean? I think we all know like scientifically now, no way. And I believe, and I think Kat pulled a study on it, that most people have regained their weight.
Like, and their metabolism took, or not kind of,
ruined.
Ding.
It's ruined.
But then how do we explain, like some of the people, I remember it was a couple of years after their episodes, some of the people did keep it off.
Yeah.
Yes, some people have. But I feel like they also they're one of the people who started a little smaller on this show. And then also they've either become fitness instructors.
That's what I was going to say. I'm so glad you're talking about it, Ashley. I was like, all of them became trainers, were working out all day long. And I'm like, if you can keep that up. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. And nothing against them. I have a lot of friends that were on the show who have kept their weight off. Hannah, Olivia, like they're wonderful and they have kept their weight off. But I know Olivia went to spin. They're great, but they have conquered the weight battle for the most part, I think. I'm not saying they don't struggle, but I think with weight, as we know, it's not just physical, it's so mental.
Yeah.
It's about trauma and stuff from our past and stuff we carry deep inside. And so to think that 7 months of being on a show and undigging like a lot of the mental stuff, I did a lot of mental work.
Yeah.
But in 7 months, I can't undig 30 years of trauma and different things that I've held on to. So when I came off the show, I probably should have gotten a psychologist, honestly.
Yeah.
I was struggling with just like the mental side.
Yes.
And clearly I would gain back because physically I wasn't doing correctly. Yeah. It was going to be hard to maintain, but mentally was probably the hardest part for me. And I had so much more work to do on the mental side that I was just like, well, I'm fixed. I've done it. And I just wasn't. So
yeah, I get that. I mean, I'll say like, listen, full disclosure, anybody that's still here and been around me for a while. I say this is way more of a mental journey than it is a physical one. The physical almost takes care of itself, to be honest, other than like me and Kat doing the strength training now, but it almost does. And then, but the mental, and especially if you've been in an obese body for a long time and in this society and all those different things. And I was losing weight very publicly as well. And I was on a show or anything. I was just on TikTok. Right. But I will tell you, there were many times like when Weight Watchers got in the game, I just vomited my trauma all over TikTok. And I should have probably just called a friend or gone to my therapist, but I didn't. And that's okay. I'm learning. But there's a lot of like learnings that I've had through this journey because it is such, I'm just going to say it. My dad's going to get mad. Mind fuck. It's a mind fuck. Like this whole thing when the food joint just turns off like that.
We went through therapy. I always say that. We went through therapy the last couple of years publicly. I didn't realize how much I was doing, but yeah.
I think it's so important. Putting on weight is mental, like it's a total mental thing. And then with it coming off, I have experienced things coming up that I thought weren't going to come up anymore with it coming off and reaching certain milestones and be like, oh my gosh, this is bringing up stuff. Because it's almost been a protection layer, right? I've protected myself in certain ways subconsciously in gaining this weight. And now it's coming off and I'm taking that off.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. So we're talking about like the mental aspect of it. You got extremely slim very publicly. So I am sure you went through that transformation where people were so much more nicer to you. How much more would you call it like devastating or just angering? What I don't know
that I felt angry about it. I was more just like, oh, now you like me? You know what I mean? Especially I was single at the time. Yes, Colleen and I met on the show, but there was a little in-between period. We were deciding if we wanted to be together. And so I was home like dating and meeting guys. And I'm like, I've known you for years and now you like me? You know what I mean? So it was a little like, I don't know, angry, but all just kind of like hurtful. Yeah, hurtful. And did you see actually, was there changes in like perhaps like the staff, producers, or people that you interacted with on the show? Did they change? Did their behavior towards you change? I would say no. The people you guys don't see, the cameramen, the audio people, the producers, because there's big producers and there's like mini producers. And the mini producers were like a lot of them became like friends and they're genuinely cared for us and would cry with them when we're crying. They're also behind the camera crying with us. So they do become this family of people that were supporting you. Or they put the camera down and be like, hey, you got this. Like, you know, like they'd be like, get up. So it was a very nice experience. So they did not change. I did not find that. And still some of them are still on my Facebook and will be like, hi, you know. So
how did it feel when you started to regain publicly? Did you know were friends and family notice? Like, what was that? Because I had lap band surgery and this was not public, right? I had lap band surgery. I lost weight. And when I started to regain and then even more, I felt like such a piece of garbage. So I can't imagine. And then after we do that, I want to talk with Dr. Rentea about why people regain scientifically.
That probably was one of the hardest things is regaining after being so public. And people say stuff like, they like are like, wow, you put on some weight or you're starting to gain or whatever it is. And not if we don't already feel like complete shit for gaining. And then it almost becomes this thing like I hid for years. I didn't want to leave my house because people recognized me. And it became this terrible thing. And I moved to California to be with my husband and gained quite a bit of weight while living in Sonoma County, wine country, just
oh, wow. You lived in Sonoma. Lucky.
She's a wine connoisseur.
Lucky.
You got the bad end of the stick there. But so now we live in Knoxville. But I gained a ton of weight and I didn't want to fly home and see my family. I didn't want to fly home and see like friends or people.
I remember those
really recognize me much there, but they recognized me in my hometown, just out in restaurants and stuff. And I came back, I think, for a funeral and we were in a restaurant and I could see people being like, oh, look at her now. Oh, and it just is terrible. You can't blame. I mean, we put it out there. Like, I'm not mad at people for
I get it.
Noticing or anything, but it's very hard. I didn't want to leave my house. So it's hard. And I know I'm not the only Biggest Loser that felt like that. My husband felt like that. A lot of our friends felt like that. It's just when you regain, you feel so much shame. It's very shameful. I've had to let a lot of that go through this current journey of losing weight. Is just trying to not feel ashamed of gaining.
Yeah.
So,
I get that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I even have felt that I've gained some weight since I got to my lowest. I got my gallbladder out, and I swear, just like whatever happened, it just right into perimenopause. I immediately was having hot flashes. I don't know. I am almost 46. It's not rocket science, but like I did, and I gained weight, and I'm like, what is happening? I am not doing anything different. I'm doing nothing different, but I did start strength training with Kat, and now I'm losing inches, which is cool. But regardless, one thing I did sort of learn is like the body's not static. Like it's sort of ridiculous to think that we would apply this medicine to a body that's very complicated, that is obese for many different reasons, and that it would just we would just stay this way. I think like it would be so cool from like a scientific perspective, and maybe this would help you a little bit if you've gone to a place of healing or as you're going through, or our audience, to understand why people regain, hint Dr. Rentea, and also why people maybe even regain some when they're on the medicine. What's going on with our body that's like causing that to happen from a like metabolic disease perspective?
Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say a few points here, but just know our body is so complicated that if we knew all of the things, we would have solved it. Right. And one of the problems with the disease of obesity is that we're so complex. When we hit one lever, like we're decreasing calories, and the body's like, I'm going to do these other things. So one of the things when you're losing weight, your body wants to compensate to get you to regain. So forget GLP-1s for a minute. We're just going to talk, you're losing 10, 15, 20% on your own, which is incredibly rare that people can lose it and keep it off. When you lose the weight, your ghrelin hunger hormone level goes up. That's the one that says, hey, you're hungry, start eating. So you are baseline more hungry. People will come in and they're like, I'm not eating any different, but the weight's coming back on. It's like, yeah, because your body, that's happening. And then as your weight is down, your leptin level starts to go down because fat is released, should be in line with what the leptin level is, right? Well, when you're overweight, you're resistant to it. So you have a bunch of leptin, but you're not answering to it. Well, now leptin goes down. Leptin's one that says you're satisfied. So your satiety's down, your hunger's up. And those are just two of them. So it makes sense that it gets harder and harder and harder as you lose weight to not only keep it off, but to not regain, because it's like compensatory in the other direction. And there's a lot of other factors at play in addition to, it's incredibly hard for people to lose weight and not lose a lot of muscle. I mean, we can we know a lot more nowadays than we did before, but people not losing anything incredibly tough as far as the skeletal muscle mass as you go down. And so you have all these factors against you. And so that's why when we've had these type of GLP-1 medications, we're able to actually get to some of that brain hunger. We all think it's a control thing. It's not. You actually have signaling in your body that's saying you're hungry, start eating, and it's beyond our conscious control. I think this is the narrative that's always been perpetuated. Like, we just need to have some motivation and hold on harder. And it's like, no, I always say, every time I'm on, I say the same thing where it's like a hurricane is going on. I'm like, just walk across the street and it's dangerous. Like you could die. Right. And so there's a lot that's at play there. And the physiology is literally fighting us. And it's not the same for everyone. But really angers me when people that don't have this as a disease, they say, well, these are the things that you just need to do. It's like, but you don't have any of the signaling that's driving you to go in a different direction. Right. Yes. So anyway, hopefully that explains it. But I just thought the Biggest Loser data was fascinating in the sense that people did not recover then. What we would expect when you looked at other cohorts, you said, okay, these people recovered. And then you looked at what happened with Biggest Loser data. And there was something about it where people could not get back to the baseline compared to someone else in the same time period. And I've always been fascinated by that. What was happening there that was the case? And I don't know that they even had the answers, the study that came out with this.
Do you feel like, I think a lot of it was, I remember Dr. Huizenga, who was our doctor in LA, we were at a wedding of somebody that was on the show and he was sitting next to me at the dinner. And I told him, I was like, I work out. I'm not eating like I did before and I'm gaining weight. And he was like, you have trained your body now to eat 800 calories and work out 9 hours a day. You have trained your body at such a high cardio level that if you can't keep that level, then your body's not going to respond.
Yeah, it becomes more and more efficient. And so that's the problem. Everyone thinks it's this equal math equation, like eat this much less and move that much more. And that's really the old school version of thinking about it. But the body, the way I describe it is like, it can kind of like slow down the metabolism because it's like, look, you're chronically giving me nothing to eat and exercising me 8 hours a day. I'm going to slow down because it's self-preservation. And whenever people say, well, if you don't eat anything, you'll lose weight. It's like to a point. But then there's a point where your
survival
goes down. Yeah.
Yeah. Your body like survives without whatever you do. It just wants to survive, right? It goes like into survival mode. Do you feel like weightlifting can alter that?
I feel like it can help you keep muscle, things like that. But I think it makes weight loss harder in the sense that sometimes we've talked about this, where right in the acute phase, you hold on to more water, more glycogen. That's like because you're breaking down the muscle, you're having the food stored glycogen is wanting to replace it. And I find people that exercise a lot, by the way, I love strength training. Okay. So like everyone hear me when I say this, sometimes the hunger really goes up compensatory. You're doing more exercise and then you're more hungry. That's why these medications really help break that cycle, because you don't see people lose more than 3% body weight when you just focus on exercise. So much of it is the nutrition and the other side. But I think it helps keep your muscle. I think it helps with longevity, stability. There's so many other things besides just our weight that I think everyone should be strength training.
Yeah. Agility, mobility, what is it? And no dementia. Well, not no dementia, but like
reduce, right? Like we don't really have very many pills and things, although we got some GLP-1s. Dementia, but exercising is a huge thing for brain health.
Yeah. There's a great podcast I'm like obsessed with. I've listened to it like 3 times by Dr. Vonda Wright.
Yes, she's awesome.
She's good. About strength training and how important it is for the longevity of your life. So not just to gain muscle and be healthy, but really to keep you alive longer and keep you mobile longer. So if you fall at 70, you're not going to die from breaking a hip.
Yeah.
So that's why I really started focusing on it more. Yeah.
I do think that there's a comment, and it's not, I'm like, I for sure have felt this way, but when I was first losing and I was getting so greedy for that every week number, like that I was like, no, I don't want to strength train, because if I have muscle, the scale will be up. It won't be down as much. Like I thought that way. I did, because I've been dealing with diet culture for as long as I can remember. And that's what I cared about until I realized that it was such trash. I had to stop it. But you don't realize that. I think some people, I would say everybody figure that out on the journey. There are some people that
I'm going to be honest, that narrative of what actual health is only started to get pushed a year or 2 ago. Yeah. So like, I think it was 2022, right? Manjaro came out. We were at coupon card, all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And the reality is there was a year when people were just, I'm losing and yay, 30 pounds a month. And like, there was all that stuff was highlighted. And then I think a few of us physicians were like, but the body composition. Yeah. And we were trying to talk about these things. And I think now it's really understood that health matters more than just the number. I don't think in the beginning that was really highlighted.
No, I don't think so at all. I mean, for sure it wasn't in our community, but I think we were just so freaking thrilled to have anything that worked at all. Plus we were all sort of just like amazed. We were here creating, and we were doing diet culture and shot days and weigh-in days and accountability partners. No offense to the accountability partner who I like and have on the show. But that's what we were doing, because that's what we know. That's diet culture. It's typical Biggest Loser, right? You're in control and you are the things. This is what we're going to do. We've got this together. And then all of a sudden the food was turned off and we were like, you guys feeling this shit? Do you guys not want food at all? Like, are you guys having a hard time eating anything? Like, and we would have lives about it. And I'm writing a book about all this and have videos about it. And we would just all be talking. And that was how our community started to grow, because people were like watching that sort of drama unfold of the mental of all of this, as opposed to just sort of like the spectacle, which is what people are usually watching for, which is the big person that ends up in a small body. Right. But the thing is when this would happen, that honestly, a lot of us don't end up in small bodies. We end up in smaller bodies, but not skinny bodies, especially ones that started very large, or we need longer to get there, more than just a year to get to goal weight. We need 3 years, we need 5 years, whatever it is. And so we're learning all that together. But as this was going on, some naysayers started to pop up, I would say, and be like, wait a minute, exactly what Dr. Rentea is saying, like body composition is a thing. And it was worth a conversation. But I think that what a lot of us heard was that we were thinking, well, that happens with any weight loss journey. Or we were thinking, I mean, it's all just toxic thinking, but it's all ignorance, and we're trying to learn. So we don't think that way anymore. Right. But like, I think we were also thinking things also, you don't need as much muscle as you've had because you were carrying a big body and now you're in a smaller body. So it's okay to lose some muscle. And I think that it was a little lost because that came from the naysayers were sort of the loudest, right? They were saying like, get a DEXA scan and all that. I feel like that's been learning along the way. I know I've been recently trying to build like a keynote on this because people have asked me to speak places. And one of the ladies that was asking me when I was talking to her, she's like, but a keynote can't be advocacy. What is the point? I go, it's not about weight loss. And she was like, I was like, that's the point. It's not about weight loss. It's about health gain. Right. And of all the things. And that's been huge for me because all I've been doing my whole life is trying to lose weight. I've always been losing or gaining. So eventually when I got to a place where I wasn't doing anything, I was like, what do I do? Right.
Preach, girl. This is exactly how I feel too. Preach.
Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
But do you still sometimes feel like also, because I experience this as well, probably almost every day, I'm not eating little enough, or it's still diet culture creeping in, right? Like, oh, you know what? I ate that whole thing and could I have left it? Like every day I'm like, you're not doing it.
I feel like it's impossible not to feel that way.
We've done this
here the majority of our lives. It's impossible to just be cured. Right. But I think that this is where conversations like this one and people who are come on like Ashley to share their story, right, can help us steer what that conversation needs to look like when we start to think these ways. We've had on lots of people really come on sort of like the cognitive behavioral piece of this.
Because this goes deep. This goes into social programming, equating your size with worth. And I mean, it goes really deep, really fast. And it's very heavy, honestly, when you start to talk about the origins of all of this. And so that too is how many things can we unpack on top of already being a marginalized community. And so sometimes I'm not shocked that these thoughts always, am I having enough, too little, all of that, this questioning ourselves, right?
Yeah. And I think in those moments, like you have to give yourself grace and be like, it's okay that I'm feeling this way, right? However, I know more now. So let's look at this differently, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And the self beat up, it has diminished significantly.
Oh, it has?
Yes.
What's that like?
It has, but I have also focused on the mental health side for myself because I knew the first time losing that it was touched on. We did have a psychologist that would come and meet us, but it was literally like once a month for an hour. Like, and he was great, but it wasn't clearly enough for people who have struggled. So this go around, I truly have used it as a tool in all aspects, like a mental health tool, a physical tool, like to also pair it with higher protein, water, all that stuff, but also with like a spiritual kind of journey too, where I've worked on healing my dialogue with myself. Yeah. I no longer, and one of the questions you would send me was about what did I gain the most from GLP-1? And I think it is, and I'm not saying that I don't ever have self beat up, but I would wake up before in my body that I was very ashamed of. And that ached, honestly, when I got out of bed in the morning. It would hurt just to walk to the bathroom, like my feet, my ankles, my back. It was always just hurting. And it would start the moment I opened my eyes in the morning. Like, oh, you're just so fat. You're all these things, like so bad. And I will honestly say, I'm not saying that it never happens, but it is almost gone. Yeah. And I think focusing on that to anyone who's on a weight loss journey, whether it be with GLP-1 or not, to focus on the mental side of that, because what we tell ourselves every day becomes our reality.
Yeah.
So very big piece.
Yeah.
Are we all Mel Robbins fans in here? I think she's great.
I love Mel
Robbins. So she was talking to somebody who doesn't like their appearance. She was on their podcast. That's actually when she says the best stuff. She was on their podcast, and although she did an excellent episode on GLP-1s with Dr. Salis Wayland, it was excellent. She asked all the questions. She said all the things. It was such a good episode. But back to the thing. So she was talking to this guy, and he wasn't like into his face. And she was like, look, do this when you go into the mirror in the morning. When you see yourself, just look at yourself and don't say anything out loud, and give yourself a high five. And he was like, well, why? And she was like, because I know that you don't like the way that you look, but at the end of the day, that's the person in the body that you're going through life with. And automatically you've given people high five in life all the time, right? So you're just switching the way that you think about things. You're going, good job. That's what you're doing to people. So when you do that to yourself, you're starting to change how you see yourself. And I love tips like that, right? I'm going to do it tomorrow. And I think it's so important, like to be able to stretch your mind in this way. And I think why we're able to do it is because we're not constantly obsessed with our food and constantly obsessed with calories and losing and feeling less than, and also not plagued with food noise. You know what I mean? And I think being able to implement things like that, and then of course, talk to your friends and talk to for sure, mental health care. Like you should be everywhere. Honestly, every telehealth should offer it because it's so insane to like have this happen. It's life-changing. It's earth-shattering when the food noise turns off. And when you realize, wait a minute, it kind of doesn't really matter necessarily how I got here. What matters is that it does significantly out of my control. And most of what's happening when it comes to weight regulation is happening in my brain and is out of my control. Oh, I know I was going to ask you, Dr. Rentea. I saw this video of this woman who's a dietitian. And she said that your body is always working against you to like you were talking about, to regain weight. And she said that will literally your brain will kick your legs at night to try to wake you up to disrupt your sleep patterns. So your rate gets messed up. Is that not nuts? Because it's trying to make you regain weight, like it's messing with your sleep patterns. Is that true?
I have not heard of that. I mean, anything's a possibility. I've not heard of that.
Interesting. Yeah. I think we need to dig into it. Hey.
I will say this. I do think regains are part of a weight journey. And I really think that, I know it's depressing, so we don't talk about it a lot, but I was literally just talking to a friend the other day and I said, listen, I've just done this too long where when people say, I haven't binged in 3 years, I'm just like, I can't hear this. The goal is not a 0. It's okay if weight comes back on and you will make quicker actions in the opposite direction. But to just think that, like Kim, what you were talking about with perimenopause and menopause, it's real. What happens when the hormones go down, the insulin resistance goes up. This is not made up in our mind. I think to understand there's a flux to this. You might have a baby. Women have a really hard time losing that weight. Not everyone just, I breastfed and it's gone. There's fluctuations. And I think that's actually part of what defines the disease. I'm still grateful for people that can lose the weight and keep it off. But 99% of my patients, they've had a bariatric surgery in the past. They struggle now. They get some success. 3 years later, they have another thing pop up. And part of it is total acceptance that you can figure it out. And I don't think we had as many tools, but it's just not a static line is the problem.
And you know what, Dr. Rentea, because you were a fan of watching The Biggest Loser. There were several people on the show that had bariatric surgery and gained it back and were on the show as well.
Yeah. So true. Yeah, I mean, that's very common. It's like 50% or something crazy, right? That people that have surgery regain.
Oh, it's more than that. I mean, that's what they're considering success, not gaining back 50% of the weight by 10 years.
Wow.
But I'll say like 60, 70% of my practice have had bariatric surgery 5, 10, 15, 20 years ago. It's very common because it fixed a physical thing. It didn't fix the
physical barriers. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think too, with the GLP-1, the mental side improves when you start finally losing weight and it feeling, for me, I can speak for myself. I finally started losing weight after actually doing all the right things, like the right things, you know what I mean? That I was doing before, but couldn't lose. And it was always the back and forth that it has made so much more easy for me is like not having the food noise, because the inflammation thing is real with GLP-1, not having the aches in my knees and stuff and in my body, to be able to go to the gym and feel good. And every time I go and do a workout now, I do almost like the high five thing, but just more, get it, girl, you did that. So it's
high five. Yeah.
My whole thinking. I'm like, who is this? Who is she? I keep saying, who is this girl? So I think the more that we continue to use it as a tool, pair it with mental health, pair it with exercise and strength training, you start to heal like this inner dialogue.
Yeah.
And
I do think this sort of regain piece that I've had and then losing, like I've lost and then regaining, and I'm also reshaping, I think, because doing the strength training and stuff. And I think that's been a big lesson for me because I did immediately be like, wow, I'm just a piece of crap. I can't even keep it off with this medicine. Immediately I said that. And then I was like, Kim, you've been interviewing doctors for 2 years and better. Stop it. And I was like, oh, yeah.
You know better. Okay.
And I'll notice people that start on the journey with me recently started making content about how they regained like between 5 and 10 pounds. And these are actually people that are in smaller bodies than myself. And I was like, that is very validating to me because I really thought.
Right. Yeah, it is validating.
Didn't we talk about
it's
phase 3 up to 20% regain?
Yes. Yeah. I mean, it's like, and that makes sense, right? Because your body's fighting you. And I do think that things happen. And this is crowdsourced. Kim, I am not a doctor. When I look at people who are like, they'll get back on, I'll hear them like they've kind of fallen off TikTok for a while or off the journey or they'll say, I'm off the train. What do they call
that?
Off the tracks or
off the wagon.
Yeah.
Get back off the wagon, gonna get back on the train. And they'll come in and be like, I'm gonna this and I'm unaccountable. And they're doing it all over again. And so myself goes, oh man, I just really want them to know that's the disease. Like, I just want them to understand that they didn't get off track because they're lazy. They got off track because their brain is fucked up. And it's literally telling them, You can have a little more of that. You can do a little more of that. You can skip the gym because it's trying to get you to regain weight.
Can we have a moment, especially with online, because it's a very altered universe online, right? Everyone just hear us when we say that. It's not reality, these little clips you're seeing. So eating disorders, which we could consider obesity being a form of disordered eating. Like we could consider this stuff. It thrives in shame and secrecy. And so the minute that things aren't going right, we turn inward, get offline, right? And it makes things actually a lot worse. I know with me, I have a really hard time getting online and making videos if I feel like I've been out of integrity with what I recommend. If I've had some overeating, I'm like, I can't make a video. Right? And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, but this is, everyone's going through this. But in my mind, I couldn't possibly get out there if that had happened. And so I think that's one of the problems too. You're not seeing the full story. You don't
absolutely. Yeah, I think that's true. And I would say I struggle with that a little bit, but it's interesting because when I go on lives and people are like, well, do you do this? I'm like, no, girl, I eat meatball sandwiches. I just only do it once a month now instead of once a week. That's why I'm not a coach, because I would never be able to look at you and be like, I eat meatball sandwiches.
But no one's perfect.
But that's what I think is normal. Yes, I think it's okay.
You're right, Ashley. Like it's normal.
Eat a meatball sandwich. That's what I had my birthday a couple weeks ago. I went and had pizza. And I don't feel bad about it at all.
No.
I'm not eating pizza every single night. I'm not crushing a large pizza. Yeah, but I just feel like we have to stop beating ourselves up about stuff
like that. Yeah.
Like there is no perfect.
It's like the same thing.
That's the old way of thinking. I feel
it's like that. Like the way
sometimes, doesn't it? No, it's like, oh, I shouldn't have to beat yourself up for eating something that normal people probably eat every once in a while too.
Yeah, I remember
that's the diet culture.
Once my niece made this incredible Reese's peanut butter cupcake because we're a family of bakers. And my sister was like, do you want to cut that slice in half? Absolutely not. Nope. No, I'm going to sit here and eat this whole, because my niece can really cook. So yeah. Yep. Yeah,
I think that's something too I've really worked on is the beating up of eating normal foods. Yeah. Especially after Biggest Loser. Oh my gosh. Because the shame of eating normal foods after the Biggest Loser was really real.
Orange roughy and asparagus
in public. Like, did you feel like people were going to pull out their phones and record you?
Yeah.
I feel like that all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like people, and I'm not even anything, but I worry people like that girl, she sells neck cream on TikTok and fill a video of me. She's a weight loss influencer and she's eating a meatball sandwich. And I'm like, bitch, that's right. Here's two.
But that's what normal people do. And that's why I feel like I've started to share more. I don't just share like my healthy eating stuff. Like I did a TikTok on my birthday where I was eating pizza and I was like, I can go eat a pizza now and have a couple slices, enjoy myself, maybe with a glass of wine. And I'm not going to just blow it all out the ass tomorrow and be like, I'm a failure. I can't go to the gym. I don't do that anymore. I feel like that beat up part I have worked on. I'm not saying I don't ever feel guilty about stuff I've eaten, but I don't know. I feel like we need to stop doing that to ourselves. Yeah. I think your meatballs and be like, hell yeah, that was good. And now I'm going to be great tomorrow too, you know?
Yeah. I remember when I was first on this journey, Ashley, and I remember I was diet culturing the shit out of it. And I went to dinner with my family to Red Lobster and the Cheddar Bay biscuits got me good. Wow. And I came home and felt like straight trash. And I was like, I feel so bad about this, blah, blah, blah. And I went, and instead of beating myself up and going to bed and shaming myself, I'd made a different behavior and different choice. And I remember being able to.
That's good.
Being able to make that choice. Yeah. And I reached out to somebody that I had connected with in the community and I said something bad tonight. I ate bad food tonight. I made bad choices. I said, I really think that, and this is a pivotal moment for me. It's hard for me because all this stuff, right? But like, there are no good foods or bad foods. They're just foods, right? And I was like, they really are just fuel. Like they all get you where you're going. You just have premium and then you have not premium. But ultimately, it was really hard for me. But like, I thought to myself, that's so true. We assign this morality to food. We assign this morality to thinness. And we've really got to get away from that because ultimately, food's just food. And thinness usually does not have to do with moral worth. Ultimately, it's usually biologically driven. Think about I say this all the time. Think about how many people we know that can eat like trash pandas and like never gain a pound, right? That happens all the time. Why can't the opposite be true? Why can't we accept that some bodies are just metabolically sound and others are not? Because scientifically, we know that to be true now.
We're just built for the famine.
We're built for the famine.
We're hunter-gatherers, right?
Yeah.
When we were hunter-gatherers, we were more efficient. Yeah.
It's so true.
We were more efficient at craving more of that bone marrow to suck out of us.
Craving more of the bone marrow.
Yeah, that's the only thing I took. I took a lot of anthropology and a lot of in college, and I remember reading about like bipeds, or studying evolution. Yes, I studied evolution. But anyway, bipeds, how they survive was they sucked marrow.
What?
Okay.
They sucked marrow. You had to kill and eat the
Because
entire
it's fatty,
piece.
right? Like it's a lot of fat. I would think it.
Yeah, so the marrow, but actually people still eat marrow in other countries anyway.
This is a full spectrum education today.
Right.
Like all the way.
So when we were hairy bipeds.
Sure. Thanks, God. Back to evolution. But I mean, I think that's something true to consider. And like, something I do try to tell people is like, when it comes to like your body, and we had several doctors come on, but something Dr. Rosen did say is talking about that famine and that sort of we're talking about millions of years of evolution here. And ultimately your weight is ultimately really controlled by your brain more than anything else. And a level of acceptance of that, I think, will help us as we move forward. I think that understanding that you are in charge of this much, right? Which is basically your nutrition, your movement, and how you choose to perceive things. Like those are the things. And everything else, that is up to your body. That is somebody else's job. So that's all you can do is just show up for yourself and give yourself a high five and try to just reframe things as we move through this and have a community, build a community, reach out to people. Don't feel ashamed to talk about this if you want to, but you also, I don't think, have to either, right? Like you don't have to put all over the internet like we do. It's really nobody's damn business because this is about health. It's not about weight. Yeah. Back to keynote.
I have another question for you, Ashley.
Oh, yeah.
Post show, how do you feel about doing like Jillian and Bob workouts? And second, how do you feel about this Ozempic fight she's fighting? If you want to answer that question.
Oh no, I'll answer. And I will first say I do love her. Like she was my person. So I don't agree with everything that I don't agree with. We don't agree on a lot of things, but I still love her. She helped me so much, and she's really my corner. And I feel like I feel like now if I were to email her, still she would respond and be willing to help me. She is a good person. She does say some stuff that I'm just like, what, girl? So I don't always agree with her anymore. I loved her workouts back in the day. I had all of her DVDs and stuff. I'm aging myself again. All of her DVDs. And I would do them religiously. Even after the show, I did them because I was like, I've got to keep going, I think she probably still has a couple good ones that are, if you want to do them at home, I don't have a problem with it. I don't think they were too extreme. And she has different levels and stuff. I think I'm actually in one of them, which was kind of cool.
Now we're going to go looking.
Is it the one where you fall down? Because I feel
no. Like a workout video where I was in the background.
Oh, okay. Good.
In that aspect, like I don't think there's anything wrong with them. I think the old version of what they were teaching then is not healthy, of course. Yeah. And I think they have new perspectives, as we all kind of do, where they disagree with the whole low calories, just kill yourself in the gym kind of thing. I feel like that's very old school. And I hope people realize that's very old school and that they aren't still trying to achieve that.
And I wanted to say, like, we have to be able to let people evolve over time, because I know if you look back to 5-6 years ago, what I said, I think it's very different than what I say now. And people have to be able to learn and change. I know we were shocked when we heard what some of the things you went through, but I think they thought they were doing the best for you, that they thought that was the best at the time. So we do as good as we can at the moment.
I think that was the knowledge they had in the time. And they knew that this calorie thing had worked for people in the past, and she wanted me to win. I was her girl. Like, she wanted me to win the show. I'll be honest, I don't follow her anymore just because I found that we disagree on a lot. So for my own mental health, I stopped following. So I didn't know that. I guess I didn't really realize she was like fighting the Ozempic battle. Was she saying that it's not good?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
She's probably one of the loudest ones in the room. Yeah.
Grit down and get it done, right?
Yes.
Is that what it is? Yeah. Well,
you don't have a GLP-1 deficiency. You just need to eat better food. You just need to eat less and exercise. That's her whole. It's the same kind of thing she's always touted. But like, you're either going to evolve or you're going to double down when you're in these kinds of situations. And if your whole life has been in this way, right, then I can see why it would be very difficult to pivot that especially when you publicly.
Well, it's her whole brand. It's her.
I was going to say polarizing is a decision.
Yeah.
That's her moneymaker.
It's her brand, but at the same time, you could still do.
You could still do all that. I agree. You could still
I think you can still play the game. You know.
I agree. I didn't know she was fighting. I'm very disappointed to hear that, honestly, because it has been life-changing for me. And I feel like everyone she's worked with, we all could benefit from it, honestly. If you're on The Biggest Loser, I feel like, we have a disease. You don't get to that weight without having a disease. I wish that she believed differently.
I think it's a shame when you hear people because there is so much data, like so many years of data. Like, it's not like
they act like it's brand new. I'm like, this isn't brand new.
No. I think
that has gone off patent 20 years later. I mean,
legitimately, that's how far in and those people hang on to those patents like crazy. We're about to have IMAC on the show, by the way. He's fighting against that. That's going to be a great show. But I think that that's how long, because they when they do patents for these things, they patent the pen and the needle and all the things to try to keep you from going generic for a long time. And we went generic last year for liraglutide. I think that don't get me wrong. We don't know 50 years from now, but I do know what's going to happen to me if I continue my obesity 50 years from now. I probably won't be here if I'm lucky to make it. So I think that's where people get, is they get in this spot. And I get wanting, but I like this whole narrative right now of let me get people's food and exercise in them so they never become obese and all these different things. That sounds great. But ultimately, you're still associating the fact that exercise and food is the only thing that's going to prevent obesity. And that's just not true. There's great things to do and hopefully prevent or at least reduce or all of those different things. But there's just so much more to it than that. And I just think we have to quit looking at it's so simple, and everybody needs to understand, people need combined therapies, people need surgery, they need Wellbutrin, maybe they need whatever, right? As you go through life and your body continues to evolve, So
I feel like too, if you've never struggled, you'll never get it.
Yeah.
And I know that she claims, and I'm not trying to talk trash about her, I do love her, but I don't feel like she truly ever understands the struggle. And I guess the disappointing part is watching myself struggle, all of my people that were on the show struggle, and her still not give any kind of empathy to the fact that this is a disease and that it's not cured by exercise and food.
I think this is the part where it starts to feel volitional, when I feel like years ago when these meds started to become more mainstream, people really didn't know. They didn't know the data. They didn't understand all this. Yeah. But as you learn more and more, you are choosing to actively go in the opposite direction. You're picking that at some point, because now it's very mainstream, a lot of this data. We are understanding it more. We know a lot more. And at any point you could decide, I was wrong. Let me change my views on some of this, but it's not happening.
No.
That's disappointing.
It was just disappointed. That's a very good word. I don't have any problem with ignorance. I'm ignorant a lot of things, but I do think that willful ignorance is an issue. When you look at it all and you go, no, it's just the food and exercise. It's just not. So
I also don't get why everybody is interviewing her and calling on her for things like that.
She's very loud.
It's the noise. It's the controversy, right? So
it's the spectacle.
She's carved out.
She's wanting to stay relevant, right? But I always wonder, who are her main followers now? Is it people that are all thin? Is that who she's catering to? Because you've ostracized everyone that has the disease of obesity. You've downplayed us. You have marginalized us worse than anyone. That was something, to be honest, that gutted me when she started to talk in this way, because I thought, wow, I spent all these years and I read your books and all this stuff. And then for you to just completely invalidate the whole experience and just continually, to be honest, it wasn't a one-time comment, a one-time interview, because I'm very forgiving with these things. I can't even fathom all the things I've said, but to continue to be at the horn about it, I think now she's completely flipped then who her main people are, because there's no way that I can see anyone that's ever been in a larger body being okay with what she's doing.
I feel like a lot of people, she went through a couple of years ago, people were mass unfollowing her because they're we're sick of your diet culture BS. Eat less, work out more. And honestly, that's kind of when I did too, because I was but I'm out, you know? Yeah. And she really does drive that. I get it. She dead set thinks that is the answer to obesity. And I'm no, we're past that now. Let's move forward with compassion and understanding and so.
I think something to consider about that piece, right? Is that we are oftentimes in algorithm land, as creators, we actually get pretty protected. For the most part, our stuff is getting fed to people who are like-minded or in like bodies, right? And then every now and then we'll get a troll, right? But I have gone on posts of hers and other people that are in gym bro, diet culture, peptide, like world or fitness in general, man, the disordered eating comments. But if you go to those comments, they are full. And I think it's probably for two reasons, right? Like one, I think ignorance, right? Two, three, maybe even two, like not being able to consider a different perspective because you've been doing something so long and it's ingrained in a part of you, like some things that you and I've talked about, right, on the show today. But I think also if you can't get it, if you don't have the money to get it, I have had people that either don't have the money to get it or they've had bad reaction to it or they can't, like they've tried it and it didn't work for them. Those people are salty AF. And those people will definitely follow someone like Jillian, who's like at the horn, right? So you shift in the type of support and people that you're into. And, oh no, I can do it because Jillian told me that I can do it, right? And I think that's like what happens because I do think that we just don't see how bad it is. Because if I do go viral and something happens,
oh, I know.
It's gross.
I think energy attracts energy too. So she's in the energy of that is not how it goes. This is how you do it. These people are cheating. They're taking the easy way out, whatever people say about it. I feel like that energy and that attracts that same vibe from people.
Attracts like.
Especially like attracts like. So I feel like she's probably attracting, of course, people that agree.
Sure. Yeah.
And
people that also did it on their own. Right.
They did it on their own. They've never really struggled.
This has been a lovely conversation. Well, Ashley, tell people where they can follow you with your GLP-1 journey, the things that you do and the content you share so that they can do that. And I'll put it in the show notes as well.
Thank you. So I am on TikTok. I love TikTok. Out of all the platforms, I feel like I can truly be my pure self. I don't have to hold back. It really trickles down when I get on Facebook. I'm like, I can't really say that. I can't be like that. I am on TikTok. It's Ashley Palu. And then, of course, Instagram is linked there. So come to my Instagram. And I'm thinking about doing a YouTube channel just because I want to do longer. I have a lot to say. And I want to, so I think I'm going to start that soon too.
Fantastic. When you do, send me an update and I'll put it in the show notes.
I love talking to you girls. This has been so fun. I think I found you because before I started taking my shot, I started following you because I wanted the meds and I wanted to learn and absorb things. How do I do it? How do I do it right? What are all the secrets and stuff? So thank you for being a person and a place to come where people can actually gain knowledge and understanding and community. So
thank you. Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
You guys keep it up.
Thank you. And Dr. Rentea, if you need a doctor in which states again? Tell me again. Nebraska,
Indiana, and Illinois.
Illinois. Wow. Way off. Okay. You need one there.
Let me tell you, Dr. Rentea, the Midwest is so hard for most people. Have you noticed that? Like, you can see the South, the West Coast, but
is it because of hot dishes? Is that what it is? Because
it's the hot dish. People used to always say, "Aren't you from Kansas?" No, I'm from Nebraska. So, yeah. But when you said, I was like, Rentea, Indiana.
Yeah.
It's the Midwest. People struggle with it. Like,
sure. Yeah. That's where I'm like, sure, over there in
that area.
People who are not from the U.S., like, just forget it. Like, where is Ohio? Is this Ohio? Is that Ohio? Just enough. Stop. They don't understand us.
I will put the links to your clinic and your socials in there too, so you can follow Dr. Rentea. Wonderful human, I promise. Go follow
Indiana and Illinois. Indiana and Illinois.
But you can still learn from her even if you don't go see her as a doctor.
No, because you follow her on TikTok.
Awesome. Thank you so much, ladies. I appreciate the conversation and your contribution to our movement.
Bye.
Bye.
That marks the end of today's episode. But if you're newer to the podcast, I want to tell you about something that we have, and it's a free podcast roadmap. So this is perfect for any of you that are listening where you want to be directed to very specific episodes. So let's say that you are just starting out and you want to know, what should I do right when I start on the medications? Or you're experiencing certain side effects on the GLP-1s, or you want to know what to do if you're in a plateau, or if emotional eating is taking over, or if hunger levels are high. So we have many different categories of episodes that we've talked about, because there's a lot at this point. So if you want to be able to navigate that very easily, we have it broken down by category and also the episodes that are there, and we hyperlink to everything. So you can just click on it and find the episode. Easy peasy. If you want that, you can go to renteaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. We'll have it linked right here underneath the show notes where you're listening. And you can go ahead and get that free resource so that it makes it easy for you to navigate, because I know that it's really hard when someone has an established podcast. I am such a podcast fiend, listening to podcasts all day long. And when I find one that I love, but there's a lot that are out there, I am so lost. So I hope that you enjoy this free podcast roadmap. Again, the link to get to that is going to be renteaclinic.com/podcast roadmap. I hope this is helpful, and let me know if you have any questions.